Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and this Bradley Beal trade is an absolute disaster, and it's got me feeling quite sick. So if you guys do hear my voice a little bit congested, just bear with me. This is Father's Day as well, so I'm making a video for a freaking Bradley Beal trade. So shout out to you guys for watching this. But this is a disaster for both teams, in the Suns and the Wizards, and I think it kind of is more of a negative for the Suns that I think people are willing to admit. But just to talk about the Wizards, obviously, they didn't really get much in return. They got Chris Paul, they got Landry Shamet, and they got some second-round picks and some pick swaps. Don't know the exact details of the second-round picks or the pick swaps, but I really don't think that matters. The Wizards absolutely should not have given Bradley Beal that no-trade clause. I know I wasn't making videos when he got that contract extension, but I knew from that point on that at some point Bradley Beal would ask for a trade, and whatever the Wizards were going to get from that trade was going to be almost nothing, and that's exactly what we saw. Chris Paul, I guess, could technically still be a somewhat valuable asset, but not on the contract that he's on. I know that they're still, trying to figure things out. Chris Paul may actually be sent to a third team. The trade isn't officially over, so he could go to the Clippers. That's a team that's rumored, but I don't know. I don't think the Wizards really thought this through. I think they're a poorly ran organization, and it's a shame that they didn't get any first round picks out of this. But again, it's because of that no trade clause, and Bradley Beal virtually could just force his way to any team, and the Suns wouldn't have to give much away, which is exactly what happened, because Bradley Beal wants the team to be as perfect as it can be when he gets there, and I would say that he did a pretty good job. You got rid of Chris Paul. He's aging, injury prone. Landry Shamet, he's worth a second round pick, so that's what happened. So yes, the Wizards didn't get much, but again, they're tanking, so as long as they have their own picks, which they do, they're going to be able to get some good draft capital just off their own picks alone, so it's okay. But for me, the biggest loser of this trade, in my opinion, really is the Suns, and the reason why I say this is because, sure, you can look at just with no context of the trade, you're trading Chris Paul for Bradley Beal. That is a major upgrade. I agree with that. Bradley Beal is a great player. He's Devin Booker light, but again, that's not an insult. Bradley Beal is a very solid player. But the reason why I think the Suns completely just botched this is because I just don't know how much Bradley Beal is going to move the needle for this team. When we're watching the playoffs and we're seeing the reasons why they eventually lost to the Nuggets, I don't think we're sitting here saying, oh, the Suns need a third star. They need to make a big three. No. Our main complaints were they need a fast tempo point guard, which Campaign was doing since Chris Paul was out, and they need more wings and just depth in general. And that is not what they got from this trade. Bradley Beal, again, a very good player, but he is not going to provide the Suns what they actually need, and actually what he will be doing is halting them from actually making those moves that they should have done in the first place. I talked about this in a video earlier about the Clippers and why they're eventually going to be stuck, and what I brought up in this video was the new CBA and the second tax apron, and what this is going to do for the Suns is that they virtually are going to have no flexibility in their roster, so they're not going to be able to get people off the buy-in market, because again, they are like almost a couple million short of that tax apron. So as soon as they start signing some minimum contract players, they're not going to be able to get anyone on the buyout market. And because they traded all of their picks away, their second round picks in this Beal trade, and all their first round picks to even get Kevin Durant, they're not going to be able to trade first rounders to get better players as well. The flexibility of this roster is going to be really limited, and they can still accept the team option of Cameron Payne, and I think they do have the bird rights of TJ Warren. But TJ Warren is injury prone, and Campaign, while a good rotation guy, is just not the answer for the team. I think that, again, they need more depth. Those two guys are not going to cut it. And of course, we can still rule in that the Suns will probably eventually move on from DeAndre Ayton, which I think is a good move. But who is really going to be trading for DeAndre Ayton? I don't think a lot of teams currently constructed right now are really in the market for him. I think you can, bring up teams like the Dallas Mavericks or maybe even like the Charlotte Hornets as, possible suitors for DeAndre Ayton. But what are those teams like the Mavericks and the Hornets willing to give up for DeAndre Ayton, especially with just how wishy-washy he looks just in general, especially in the playoffs? I just don't know how much the Suns are really going to get back from DeAndre Ayton. I think they definitely will get some draft capital, but again, they need depth, and I just don't know how much of the depth they're going to get from a DeAndre Ayton trade. And even if they do get depth, is it going to be depth that actually maximizes what they need, or is it just going to be a bunch of guys who I think are solid but aren't really, fitting the needs like perimeter defense, three-point shooting, and things of that nature? I just think this puts the Suns in a really bad situation, and they're really gonna have a 1-year championship window, in my opinion. Because again, because of the second tax apron, things are gonna get very bad, and they're gonna have to pay a lot of tax money on top of this as well. And I just don't know how much the Suns are going to be willing to spend on this roster as it's currently constructed. And you need to keep in mind as well that Bradley Beal, even though he was traded, he still has that no trade clause. So they're not going to be able to trade Bradley Beal unless he agrees to it. And then that begs the question, what are they going to get back? Because the Wizards got nothing. So in my opinion, the Suns will get nothing from Bradley Beal. So they virtually have to trade DeAndre Ayton because there's no way they're going to trade KD or Booker. Overall, their flexibility for the roster is just not going to be very good. And I just don't think it pushes the needle as much as I think some people are willing to admit. Again, it's a big three, and you have DeAndre Ayton as well as the number 4 guy if they do end up just sticking with him. Is that a super team? On paper, maybe. Yeah, I would say yes on paper. But they still need playmaking. Is Devin Booker going to be your point guard? I think he's improved as a playmaker. I just don't think he is what you need. I think you need a higher level playmaker. I still think you need a defensive big, and I also still think you need some defensive wings, especially coming off the bench, and you need 3-point shooting as well around that. And there's just still a lot of needs for this team, and they're just not going to be able to get it, and they may be able to find it in lower tier players, but I don't think it's really going to be good enough for this team to win a championship, especially with the Nuggets being able to keep pretty much their exact same roster for next season. As long as Bruce Brown, opts into his player option, it's going to be the same team. So I still don't know if this Suns team will be able to beat the Nuggets. So it'll be interesting to see what the Suns do. But yeah, it's just a complete disaster for both sides. It's just a bad situation for Washington. And the Suns, while I do think they are trying their best to make this team better, I just think this trade doesn't really help them. At least right now, I don't think it pushes the needle all too much, and I really think it halters them from improving the roster in years to come. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the Bradley Beal trade. Let me know down below what y'all think. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it'd mean a lot. You can check out my socials down below in the description as well, and check out this video somewhere on the screen. I don't know what I'm going to put on it. I'm also going to be making a video on the Nuggets winning the championship, just waiting to feel a little bit better, so please bear with me. But yeah, see you on the next one. Peace out.